Good afternoon, the chair and rest of the panelists, distinguished audience. We've been hearing about security right from the morning. I was just thinking, if I give it's always sound to be a catch-up game. There's no foolproof system that will secure everything all the time. But when we drill down and see that the heart of the problem is boiled down to the problem of the heart. And we human have a kind of tendency to go around any system that comes in. Law is not enough. We need law enforcement agency. The door is not enough. We need something to latch the door. So that's the situation we are in. So let me introduce a few technology areas. We come from the industry side. We keep innovating based on some of this. In our own lifespan, in the recent past, we have seen several incidents happening. Several companies, Fortune 500 companies, have been hacked. As the previous speaker said, that there are only two types of companies: either they are aware of being hacked, or people who are hacked but they are not aware of it. Both are dangerous, right? Sometimes you say that the ignorance can, what you ignore, it may not affect you, but in this case, it is killing us. So let me just quickly jump into a few things that these statistics show that where the world economy is moving and very nature of internet, which is permeating into every part of our life. I think armed forces, law enforcement agencies, common citizens, civilians, children, schools, universities, I think nobody is exempt from this. I think this is the way. The knowledge dissemination is, we don't need to take our years and months to get the knowledge disseminated. What is invented probably in one of the universities, get to a common man in a matter of seconds. It is available today, actually. We are in a global backbone. So what we see is the internet connected devices. I'm talking about devices, not human beings. Connected devices, over 5 billion devices, which is moving into over 14 billion in next 5 years. So that means a huge number of devices, right? And we also see that the number of apps downloaded today, 18 billion, and it's moving to 76 billion. And then internet users worldwide, 2.1 billion to around 3.3 billion. That's almost cover half the population. So we see that there is a whole lot of information consumption. And what I also see is that any value and worth of any device is directly proportional to the amount of connectivity it has to the network. I think you would have seen it in battlefield situations. You have seen it in regular communication systems. That unless it is connected, the value and worth of that equipment is significantly low. So now let me come into the security aspects. I'm going to talk about three distinct things. Just to give you a contrast here, what is shown up on the stage is, I don't know, some of you must have seen it before if you're tracking the international press and things like that. This is actually a village in Romania. Nothing specific to my company or anybody, but this I just picked up from the internet, is that this village has a dubious distinction. There are 120,000 odd people in this village, but everybody is a hacker. Everybody, 120,000 people in this village makes money out of hacking. So you can see that there is an organized setup, or a state actor, or a country behind hacking mechanism. They may have interest that I may get maybe $10 a day by doing certain work. Right? This is reality. But when you go back, do a Google search, hacker will, hacker VILLE, you will actually get all this information down there. So this is a very, very stark situation, where we have to deal with. The other research shows that around 40 antivirus programs, with the latest patches and updates being subject to 80 new viruses, and the catch rate was only 5%. Again, this is terrifying, right? That means 95% of the viruses simply slip through the antivirus, the latest and greatest antivirus software. So it all points towards something. There is an enemy at the other side. Our systems are not adequate. We need to think beyond the status quo. Companies are innovating in that areas. We have to find the human element. We just the traditional technologies and approach is not sufficient. So I'm going to talk about three areas, very commonsensical areas. I think we're very well known ever since the mankind is in existence. We know deception is a very important aspect, in our warfare. So the first topic I'm going to talk about deceive. There will be a product attached to that later on. But let's see, what does it do? Have you ever been deceived? Or have you ever recognized that you're deceived? I think all of us have passed through that. Look at this. I think those from the armed forces would know what this is. Probably they can date back to the year and date of manufacture of this and which battalion was using it and where. I believe, I'm too young to go back into this, but this is, I think it is used in World War II, 1942 time frame. It's called the Sherman M4 tank, used in the World War. And see what this is. Give a close attention to the picture over here. What it is, it shows that around 63,000 pound heavy tank is being carried by 4 armed personnel. So this is actually one example of deception, that the enemy thinks that you have a big. There are several such examples. People use battlefield sound simulation and heavy amplifiers to ensure that there are a huge battalion is marching behind me. And I believe that I think some of the wars in World War II are won without even firing a single shot by some of these deceptive technologies. So why can't we use it in our cybersecurity area? Today we see we have a very reactive approach. If we see that somebody is going to attack me with a reasonable confidence that somebody is going to attack me, you would make some deterrent. And if you see somebody in your doorstep and we say his posture is pretty bad, you will try to neutralize him. Today we don't do that in cybersecurity. Once I'm attacked and once I'm being stripped naked, then I will try and react. By the time the criminal would have got away with all the assets. So this is one technology. We announced it in the last RSA conference in US. It's called the deceptive technology. What that allows, if you see that it's actually a picture of a Venus flytrap, a plant which thrives on eating flies. So what you see there is a picture of that. So what we are trying to do here is that when we recognize that there is an attack or a perceived attack happening on your website, we will try to figure out that is it a legitimate user, whether it's a banking site or it's a government site. Is it a legitimate user? Is he going beyond what he's supposed to do in a website? Look at his behavior and then kickstart a set of deceptive technologies, including, or we call it honeypot or things like that, including things like he might find that there is some early success for him. He would have broken some artificial password, and then he has been moved into chain after chain to go further deeper to understand that he has to finally reach a else is a 500 error. He's not going. So what I have done by now is that I have kept him in my system for long enough for me to understand that where is he coming from, what are the tools he is using, and what technology has what is his interest. I have actually created a kind of behavioral pattern of that hacker, and quickly I can share it with the rest of the intelligence systems. The security is only good enough if the information that you capture is shared to the rest of your network, and then quickly plugged. You know that the recent attack on the Sony PlayStation site, it is not a single attack, it is actually a dozen attacks. Similar attacks, but they couldn't really control each of these attacks, though their nature of attack was the same. Now the second piece I want to talk is track. Again, I have to draw some examples from World War II, or even before that. Like this is the 18th century. Some of you maybe have a battalion method, like the fingerprints. Fingerprint used to be one of the technologies where to track people. The other technology is called battalion. He used to use 11 parameters of a human being, including the diameter of the skull, the distance between your elbow to your middle finger, and things like that. The 11 parameters, and they believe that the signature comes out of that analysis is pretty unique, very unique. If you haven't heard of this method, I think it's good because I think it was proved wrong sometime later on. So some examples of Will West and William West is showing that identical people, in our common naked eye, these two are the same person. But I think they are not. They are two different persons. That battalion card shows they are the same, but they were two different people. So today, what I want to say that IP address is the battalion today. We try to track people by its IP address. IP address, you can hide behind an IP. This is like searching somebody in the city of Delhi, for a person among millions of people versus searching somebody who stays in room number 711 in Oberoi Hotel here. You know, can you go down to that path and track? We need to change the way we track systems beyond IP addresses into these areas. That is the second piece I want to share. The third piece I want to share was share. Once you get through deceptive technologies, you try to understand a hacker, then you track this hacker based on this behavioral pattern. What do you do with that information? Unless the information is acted upon, it's of no use. You need to share. You need to share. For example, there are less intelligent gatekeepers. We call it the firewalls, the perimeter gateways, the routers, the switches, which are actually like the border security in your network. But they are not intelligent enough to do all these things. These are very intensive, computational intensive tasks. In fact, we just launched a global threat center with a big data analytics, with a Hadoop MapReduce protocol to actually analyze this data. You get tons and tons of data every day. Imagine you get a fingerprint of every human being, and then you have to analyze to find a criminal out of 1 billion people, to scan through all of them. It is a humongous task. You need big data and such analytics to do that. So we have invested in that platform, and then we are sharing that to all the network gears in the industry. As I said, fingerprints are useless unless it is shared. So the fingerprint today is your behavioral pattern. So we are doing a few things. Device tagging, going beyond the IP address. We can do device tagging. We call it the super cookie injection. If a hacker is coming from a website, we could actually inject, even with his privacy settings on, we can inject around 20 plus cookies into his browser and then track him from other areas, even if you change the IP addresses. So a few products we launched, which is based on these principles. But Juniper has been in the security for over a decade. One is Juno's Web App Secure, which is a deceptive technology where, for example, the government website need to be secured. This technology will come in front of your web servers and then start profiling the hackers based on their behavior, and then also put deceptive traps on the website so that we can track them. The second piece is Spotlight Search, which I mentioned, the Global Threat Center. The Spotlight Search is nothing but a big data analytics engine, and we will sell it as a service to the intelligence agencies. Once you have the analytics engine, you can invest, not everybody can invest a huge amount of big data analytics because it has to be a living equipment because the data changes every second. The third one is DDoS Secure, Juno's DDoS Secure, which is whether it's a volumetric DDoS or a slow and steady DDoS. We have integrated that into our ecosystem because that is one of the major areas we have. The SAARC secure gateway, these are the doors and windows which need to be guarded by the intelligence which is coming about. So this is what I want to cover today on the security area. Thank you.